Impeached President of South Korea, Yoon Suk Yeol around noon on Wednesday, according to the Asia country local time, surrendered himself for arrest to the Corruption Investigation Office for high-ranking officials, CIO, after the CIO led over 3,000 policemen to invade the residence of the impeached president early morning night at about 1 a.m. on Wednesday, breaking barriers mounted by over 200 personnel of Presidential Security Service (PSS) who have shielded him from arrest since he was impeached by the country's parliament over short-lived martial law he declared in December 2024. The impeached South Korean president, Yoon Suk Yeol, in a pre-recorded video message, said he decided to surrender to the CIO to avoid bloodshed, insisting the arrest warrant was illegal and executed by force even when CIO lacked the authority to investigate the case. CIO said since Yoon was detained in their facility, the impeached president has refused to utter a word or respond to their questions. I decided to respond to the CIO's investigation, despite it being an illegal investigation, to prevent unsavory bloodshed, Yoon said in the pre-recorded statement. After the hour's standoff, at noon, Yoon's motorcade was later seen leaving his residence in an upscale area known as Seoul's Beverly Hills. It arrived at the investigator's office but was quickly surrounded by security and moved to the back of the building, where Yoon slipped in, evading the waiting media. Authorities now have 48 hours to question Yoon, after which they must seek a warrant to detain him for up to 20 days or release him, according to news reporters monitoring the situation in Seoul. Yoon, who faces charges of insurrection over his short-lived effort to impose martial law in December 2024, is the first sitting president in the nation's history to be arrested. He could face the death penalty or life in jail if he is found guilty of insurrection, according to local observers. Yonhap News Agency had reported that investigators passed through another line of blockers in second attempt to detain Yoon. Investigators locked in standoff with presidential security in second attempt to detain Yoon. Fire authorities transport one injured in standoff outside presidential residence. Such detention warrants against Yoon to remain valid until January 21st. Investigators in physical clash as the attempt to forcibly enter presidential residence. Investigators warned that attempts to resist Yoon's detention could lead to arrest. Yoon's lawyers say warrant to detain Yoon invalid. Police deploy some 3,000 personnel outside presidential residence to secure access. Yoon's lawyers arrive at presidential residence, protest against attempts to detain impeached president. Adding, investigators used ladders to enter the presidential residence compound Wednesday in their second attempt to detain impeached President Yoon Suk Yeol over his short-lived imposition of martial law. As of 7:30 a.m., dozens of police officials had entered the compound in central Seoul and passed through California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection. CAL FIRE has confirmed that more than 15,000 personnel including international firefighters have taken position in Los Angeles ahead of the red flag warning of more wildfires with stronger winds expected through Wednesday in the California city, with President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine ordering 150 of his firefighters to move to the United States of America, U.S. County to save lives. The state governor, Gavin Newsom, also confirmed that more than 1,460 fire engines, 80 aircrafts, 170 water tenders and 175 dozers have been deployed to Southern California to battle the historic wildfires, with more higher winds expected to pick up this week. CAL FIRE in a statement said, more than 15,000 personnel, including state, local, federal, tribal, out-of-state, and international resources, are actively responding to historic fires in the Los Angeles region, with additional resources pre-positioned ahead of red flag conditions expected through Wednesday. Key updates: Palisades Fire, 23,700 plus acres burned, 14% containment. Eaton Fire, 14,000 plus acres burned, 33% containment. Hearst Fire, 95% contained. Red flag warnings remain in effect, with forecasted damaging winds 55-70 miles per hour (mph) and low humidity creating extreme fire danger. CAL FIRE has pre-positioned additional resources and set up a mobilization center to respond quickly to new threats. Crews are working around the clock to repair infrastructure, remove hazards, and prepare for safe repopulation once red flag conditions subside, expected Wednesday night. Governor Gavin Newsom in a separate statement on Monday said that, "I'm expanding our ongoing special session with the legislature to provide Los Angeles with billions in funding for firestorm response and recovery efforts. We're moving quickly to help Angelenos who've lost their homes and schools to build back better." Update: resources continue to be deployed across SoCal to fight the Los Angeles wildfires, with additional reinforcements en route as we speak. 15,000 plus personnel, 2,400 plus California National Guard members, 1,460 plus fire engines, 80 plus aircraft, 170 plus water tenders, and 175 plus dozers. In anticipation of higher winds picking up this week, hundreds of firefighting assets are currently prepositioned across Southern California, in Los Angeles, Orange, Ventura, Riverside, San Bernardino, and San Diego counties. President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine had in a videos and written statement on Monday said that, "Today, I instructed Ukraine's Minister of Internal Affairs and our diplomats to prepare for the possible participation of our rescuers in combating the wildfires in California. The situation there is extremely difficult, and Ukrainian Los Angeles Department of Medical Examiner has confirmed that it has received over 24 dead bodies for examination from law enforcement agency following the ongoing wildfire disaster ravaging the capital city of California in the United States of America, US for than a week now, just as the California Department of Forestry and Fire Protection, CAL FIRE, stated on its website that over 19,300 people have sustained injuries, 12,300 houses burnt, and more than 40,000 acres of land destroyed. Los Angeles Department of Medical Examiner in a press statement on Sunday, published the 24 reported cases and stated thus, "The below information contains cases reported to the County of Los Angeles Department of Medical Examiner, DME, by the investigating law enforcement agency and are still under investigation by the department. The DME cannot confirm human remains until after the DME processes them at our facility." California Governor Gavin Newsom says the ongoing Los Angeles wildfire could be the most devastating natural disaster in U.S. history, one that has destroyed thousands of homes and forced 100,000 people to evacuate. Local observers said that the so-called Santa Ana winds, a weather phenomenon, are helping drive the wildfires in Los Angeles and are likely to worsen. Reuters on Monday reported that firefighters raced to contain the frontiers of two Los Angeles wildfires that burned for the sixth straight day, taking advantage of a brief respite in hazardous conditions before high winds were expected to fan the flames anew. People with horses could be seen on videos posted online in the Altadena-Pasadena area trying to escape the Eaton fire in Los Angeles County. The Eaton fire has forced evacuations and temporarily shut down schools in the area. President Joe Biden had convened Vice President Kamala Harris and key officials to receive a virtual briefing on the administration's efforts to suppress the wildfires across Los Angeles, and to discuss how the federal resources he has directed are supporting the state and local response. Media in Los Angeles also reported that Air Tanker 10 USFS, which drops up to 9,400 acres of fire retardant on wildfires, has been deployed as one of the aircraft supporting in the wildfires emergency response, with 4 air bases currently supporting the firefighting effort across Southern California. Mexico team on Sunday arrived in Los Angeles to join the fight against the wildfires. CAL FIRE in a statement said that California has expanded its response efforts, welcoming assistance from Texas, Canada, and Mexico to join neighboring states already providing critical support in battling the Southern California wildfires. These reinforcements are crucial not only for containment efforts but also to provide much-needed relief to the brave firefighters on the front lines. According to California Governor Gavin Newsom, 72 firefighters and emergency personnel have arrived from Mexico to help respond to the Los Angeles fires. Emergencies have no borders, and we are deeply grateful to President Claudia Sheinbaum Pardo for your unwavering support during one of California's greatest times of M23 rebels in the Democratic Republic of Congo early this year advanced and seized the town of Masisi. Same period, the Congolese government sent 172 death row prisoners to executioners with 102 already confirmed executed, while the government kept mum on the third batch of 70 prisoners, including the May 19, 2024 37 coup plotters who were convicted and sentenced to death in September 2024, just as the country Minister of Justice Constant Mutamba threatened journalists with death penalty if they relate the activities of armed group he described as Rwanda Army and its M23 auxiliaries. On Sunday, Al Jazeera reported that the M23 rebels and the Congolese army are still in heavy gun battle in Masisi since the rebel group took control of the town more than a week ago. Al Jazeera report on Sunday contradicted the statement issued 3 days ago by the Congolese Minister of Justice Constant Mutamba that the Congolese army and the pro-government rebels have recaptured the town of Masisi from the M23 rebels. On his ex social media handle 3 days ago, the Congo Justice Minister, Constant Mutamba, tweeted in a French language as translated by Google to state that, "Bravo to our Armed Forces of Democratic Republic of Congo, FARDC, and rebel group fighting together with Congo military against M23, Wazalendo for the recapture of Masisi. The enemy is in disarray. Any political actor, civil society, journalist, religious, who relates the activities of the Rwandan army and its M23 auxiliaries, will now suffer the full force of the law, death penalty. Our territorial integrity is not up for sale." It would be recalled that 37 alleged coup plotters, including 3 Americans, were convicted and sentenced to death in September 2024 by a Kinshasa military court in a trial against the failed coup of May 19, 2024 in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC. 51 people were tried by the military court in Kinshasa, the capital of DRC, with the hearings broadcast on national television. The 3 Americans sentenced to death were convicted for the offenses of criminal association, attack and terrorism, including Marcel Malanga, son of Christian Malanga, the alleged leader of the attempted coup. DRC Army stated that an attempted coup, led by little-known opponent Christian Malanga, was nipped in the bud early May 19, 2024. 6 people, including Christian Malanga himself, were killed. The poachers attacked the residence of Vital Kamerhe, then Deputy Prime Minister, before intruding the Palais de la Nation, where the offices of DRC President Felix Tshisekedi are located. Videos posted online showed the attackers, dressed in military uniforms and displaying the Zaire flag, claimed in the video that they wanted to change things in the management of the republic. Zaire, officially the Republic of Zaire, was the name of the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, from 1971 to 1997. United States of America, USA President-elect Donald Trump will be no doubt the first ex-convict to become president in the North America country after Justice Joan Merchan sentenced him to no jail term and no fine on conditional discharge after the judge had last year found him guilty of falsifying business records and convicted him for criminal felony. Details of the judgment and other events that occurred yesterday at the court while Justice Joan Merchan was presenting the judgment is published in our audio and video versions of this news report. President-elect Donald Trump was sentenced to unconditional discharge for 34 charges of business fraud related to hush money payment to Stormy Daniels during the 2016 presidential campaign. President-elect Donald Trump was sentenced Friday morning in New York after the Supreme Court refused to block the sentencing, making him the first U.S. president to be convicted and sentenced for a crime to take office. Trump appeared virtually from Mar-a-Lago, according to local media, while others also reported that he appeared virtually for the sentencing at a courtroom in New York. Trump could have been sentenced of up to 4 years in prison, but instead was delivered a sentence that does not include penalties like jail term or probation in what's called an unconditional discharge. An unconditional discharge, in legal terms, means that the person is convicted of the charges but is not punished further, such as with jail time, probation, or fines. Essentially, they are released without any conditions attached to their discharge. This can happen in cases where the court determines that the conviction itself serves as enough of a deterrent or punishment, according to local observers in the United States of America. Trump doesn't face any jail time, fines or probation, but his conviction still stands and he will enter office as a convicted felon, one of the observers added. The source news media reported that George Merchant emphasized that while the office of the presidency grants considerable legal protections, those protections do not diminish the seriousness of the crime. One power they do not provide is the power to erase a jury verdict, Merchant stated, acknowledging the citizenry's role in returning Trump to office despite the conviction. According to CNN, Trump, appearing virtually from Mar-a-Lago, maintained his innocence. "The fact is I'm totally innocent. I did nothing wrong," he said, calling the case a political witch hunt designed to damage his reputation. Trump also criticized Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, claiming the case was unwarranted and harmed New York's judicial system. New York states that unconditional discharge is when a defendant is convicted without punishment such as imprisonment, a fine, or probation supervision. While Trump expressed dissatisfaction with the outcome, his legal team views the sentencing as a step toward appealing the conviction. Despite his felony conviction, the unconditional discharge means Trump will face no further penalties directly tied to the case. Chief Ernest Azubelu Obiejesi, the founder of Obi Jackson Foundation, on Friday led other dignitaries to hold mass funeral service of interdenominational church servants to pay last respect to between 20 and 22 unofficially stated numbers of people that died in a stampede during the foundation Christmas rice and other gift items sharing event on December 21, 2024 at Okija community in the Ihiala local government area of Anambra State. The mass funeral service, where some families were in attendance with the portrait photographs of their deceased loved ones, was held at St. Mary's Field, Okija, with local media reporting that the shops and markets, especially the major markets in the area, were under lock and key in honor of the dead victims. Eze Nduka Duke, National Publicity Secretary of Okija Progressive Union, had requested all attendees to put on black clothes in honor of the stampede victims in a mass burial announcement he titled, Okija Months. Anambra Broadcasting Service, ABS, reported that businesses across Okija in Ihiala local government area came to a standstill today as the community held an interdenominational funeral service to honor victims of Okija stampede. The incident, which occurred on Saturday the 21st of December 2024 during a distribution of Christmas palliative by Obi Jackson Foundation, claimed 22 lives and left many injured, plunging the town into mourning. The traditional ruler of Okija, Igwe Nnamdi Okezi, the founder of Obi Jackson Foundation, Chief Ernest Obiejesi, the chairman, Dozie Group of Company Chief Chukwudozia Nwankwo, Pioneer Anglican Bishop of Ihiala Diocese, Right Reverend Ralph Okafor, retired, were among the attendees. Addressing the crowd, Chief Obiejesi expressed deep concern over the incident, assuring the community that comprehensive steps will be taken to prevent future occurrences. After the funeral service, families who were yet to bury their loved ones proceeded to lay their bodies to rest. Also, Punch newspaper reported that no fewer than 21 people, Mostly women and children reportedly lost their lives during the tragic incident that occurred on December 21, 2024, during the palliative distribution being donated by a notable member of the community, Chief Ernest Azudelu Obiejesi, through his foundation, Obi Jackson Foundation. The interdenominational burial service for the victims held at St. Mary's Field, Okija, on Friday, had families of the victims, survivors, community members, and other notable personalities of the community in attendance in the low-key event. The event was organized by Obi Jackson Foundation, alongside the Royal Palace of the Okija community. During the service, the Very Reverend Donald Chukwudolu, who anchored his lesson from the Book of Revelation 21, 1-8, asked the Almighty God to console everybody who lost their loved ones and prayed that such would not occur again in the community. Chukwudolu said, "We ask God to wipe away every tear and console the families of the deceased. We pray such an accident will not occur." Suspected Boko Haram terrorists attempted to break into Chad Presidential Palace on Wednesday night after China Foreign Minister Wang Yi had met with President Mahamat Idris Deby Itno and left for Nigeria to meet with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in continuation of his Africa tour, which he started the visit with Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC, where he had previously met with Vice President Netumbo Nandi Ndaitwah at the Old State House. Chadian government dismissed claims that the attackers were terrorists but failed to state the identities of the 24 armed men widely believed to be members of the Boko Haram sect that stormed the presidential palace, shooting dead 2 security officers and thus sparked a heavy gunfiring by the presidential guards, who shot dead 18 out of the 24 suspects and arrested others who sustained injuries. Hours before the shooting began, Wang had met with President Mahamat Idris Deby and other senior officials. Deby was inside the complex during the attack, according to government spokesperson Abderrahman Kolamala. Chad says military foiled destabilization attempt. Local media also reported that the attack on the presidential palace occurred same Wednesday. About 70 French soldiers and 8 tons of cargo have left N'Djamena in line with the end of Chad's military relationship with France, which both governments have made some exchange words in recent days. Chadian Prime Minister Alain Maye Halena had said, "The deadline for the final withdrawal of French forces from our territory is set for January 31, 2025. This period is neither negotiable nor modifiable." Authorities said 6 attackers and 3 security personnel sustained injuries. Residents near the compound reported hearing heavy gunfire, but the government has assured the public that the situation is under control, with soldiers protecting the president. Chad's foreign minister and government spokesperson, Abderrahman Kolamala, assured the public that the situation was under control. The attempt to destabilize has been thwarted, Kolamala said in a video statement, flanked by soldiers. A security source, according to local media, said the attackers were members of the Boko Haram jihadist group, but Kolamala later said they were probably not terrorists, describing them as drunken Pierre Nicolas, a reference to a French comic featuring hapless crooks. He said they attacked 4 guards before entering the presidential complex, where they were easily overpowered, adding the surviving assailants were completely drugged. The attack occurred about a week after the African nation held parliamentary elections that were supposed to help restore democracy, but the main opposition party boycotted the polls. Results have not yet been announced, and analysts have said they expect the election to help Deby Itno consolidate his grip on power. Deby Itno seized power as a military ruler after his father, who spent 3 decades leading the country, was killed fighting rebels in 2021. Deby Itno won a presidential election last year that international observers have said was not credible. Individuals in 3 vehicles attacked the military camps around the president's office, but there are indications that the criminal investigators in South Korea have mobilized over 2,000 police to wear down or overcome the men of the Presidential Security Service, PSS, currently protecting the country's impeached president, Yoon Suk Yeol from being arrested after court reissued order of arrest on Tuesday when the previous court order expired with failed attempt by the criminal investigators to carry out the arrest order last week due to standoff mounted by heavily armed PSS. Local media on Wednesday reported that the South Korea's Presidential Security Service, an agency assigned to protect the president, prides itself on being the last bastion for a safe and stable state administration, is now at the heart of South Korea's biggest political mess in decades, acting as a final line of defense to prevent criminal investigators from detaining President Yoon Suk Yeol. The media reported that the impeached South Korean President Yoon Suk Yeol's residence has been turned into a fortress, with layers of barbed wire and vehicle blockades protecting the elusive leader as at on Wednesday. It was gathered that the 64-year-old former prosecutor was at home when investigators carried out their failed attempt to arrest him last week and was still there until early this week, the Yonhap news agency, citing police, reported on Wednesday. The criminal investigators said they are now unsure of his whereabouts as Yoon keeps them guessing behind a wall of protection even though a new warrant cleared the way for renewed efforts to arrest him. "I am considering various possibilities," Corruption Investigation Office (CIO) Chief Oh Dong-won said on Tuesday in response to a lawmaker who asked if Yoon had already fled. South Korea's Presidential Security Service was seen fortifying the hillside villa where President Yoon Suk Yeol is believed to be, according to media reporters on ground monitoring the situation. Reuters on Wednesday stated that various scenarios reported in local media included mobilizing police special tactical units and heavy equipment to push through the barricades, followed by more than 2,000 police to drag out presidential guards, taking as long as 3 days if necessary to wear down presidential security agents. Adding, protesters both supporting and opposing the embattled Yoon have continued to brave freezing temperatures to stage rallies on the streets around the presidential compound on Wednesday after a court reissued a warrant to arrest Yoon earlier on Tuesday. The Presidential Security Service, PSS, was seen this week fortifying the compound with barbed wire and barricades using buses to block access to the hillside villa where Yoon is believed to be, having defied summons to appear for questioning. South Korea impeached President Yoon Suk Yeol is facing a new and potentially more robust attempt to arrest him for insurrection after a top investigator vowed to do whatever it takes to break a security blockade and take in the impeached leader. He also faces an impeachment trial in the Constitutional Court. One of Yoon's lawyers in a statement on Wednesday said, "The president could not accept the execution of the arrest warrant because it was issued by a court in the wrong jurisdiction and the CIO had no authority to investigate the incumbent leader." Yoon Suk Yeol, Nigeria police force has paraded some cybercrime suspects, hinting that the force recovered over 8.8 billion naira from cybercriminals in 2024 and the stolen funds were restituted to the victims of crime. The force spokesperson, Olumuyiwa Adejobi, stated this on Tuesday in Abuja alongside with officers in charge of the Nigeria Police Force National Cybercrime Center, NPF-NCCC. Olumuyiwa had also paraded the suspected killer of CSP Hassan Jega, the DPO Agbaho Division, Delta State, who was killed on the 14th of October 2024 during gun battle with notorious armed robbers. Details of the press releases reads below as stated by the Force Public Relations Officer, Olumuyiwa Adejobi. In the relentless efforts of the Nigeria Police Force to tackle every form of crime in all spheres, the force has recorded an outstanding achievement for the year 2024 in retrospect, particularly in the area of combating cybercrime. In the year 2024, the Nigeria Police Force National Cybercrime Center, NPF-NCCC, successfully recovered a staggering 8,821,001,881 naira and 80 kobos, 8,821,001,881 naira, 80 kobo, 115,237.91 USDT, and $84,000. These significant amounts have been restituted to the victims of cybercrime, reaffirming the commitment of the force to protecting citizens and ensuring justice for those affected by fraudulent activities. Similarly, in the past year, the cybercrime unit has actively engaged in strategic operations, resulting in the arrests and prosecutions of over 751 individuals involved in cybercrime. The unit has successfully recovered a total of 685 devices that were used in these nefarious activities, which include 467 mobile phones, 137 laptops and computers, 46 routers, 4 servers, 1 drone, and 4 Starlink devices. Additionally, the operations led to the confiscation of 16 houses, 39 plots of land, 14 land documents, and 26 vehicles, further dismantling the infrastructure supporting cybercriminal activities. In recognition of its outstanding performance and dedication, the NPF-NCCC has been awarded the title of the Best Cybercrime Unit in Africa for 2024 by the Interpol Cybercrime Directorate based in Singapore, securing the top position among 54 participating African countries. These achievements reflect the dedication of the Nigeria police force to fighting cybercrime and enhancing the safety of citizens in the digital space. In furtherance to efforts towards keeping the cyberspace safe, operatives of the NPF-NCCC have apprehended 4 suspects identified as Douglas Victor, Mel, Emo Efe Martins, Mel, Lucky Adesuloye, Mel, and the newly sworn-in President of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, may have mistakenly introduced Nigeria President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the President of the Federal Republic of Ghana during his inaugural address after he was sworn into office at the Independence Square in Accra, the capital of the West Africa country. President Mahama, during acknowledgement of guests before he began his inaugural speech, said, "Your Excellency, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the President of the Federal Republic of Ghana and the special guest of honor for this occasion." Local media reported that several African leaders, including those from military-led Burkina Faso and Niger, were in Ghana's capital, Accra, Tuesday, for the inauguration and return of President John Dramani Mahama. The event was attended by several world leaders, including the Economic Community of West Africa States, ECOWAS Chairman, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Mahama had led Ghana from 2012-2016, returned to office after he won in the nation's 2024 general elections. John Dramani Mahama was sworn in by the Chief Justice, Gertrude Araba Esabasaki Tokonu, as President of the Republic of Ghana. Mahama succeeds Nana Akufo-Addo, who took over from him in 2017. This marks Mahama's return to the presidency after 7 years, following his victory in Ghana's December elections. Nana Jane Opoku Agyemang made history as the first female vice president of Ghana. Mahama and Opoku Agyemang, both candidates of the National Democratic Congress, won the election with Mahama securing 50% of the votes. He polled 6.3 million votes, defeating his closest rival, Mahamudu Bawumia of the ruling New Patriotic Party, by a margin of 1.7 million votes. Acknowledging his defeat, Bawumia quickly considered and addressed the nation, saying, "The people of Ghana have spoken. The people have voted for change at this time, and we respect it with all humility." On his X account, Mahama confirmed receiving a congratulatory phone call from Bawumia. Mahama, 66, of the National Democratic Congress (NDC) party, beat Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia of the ruling New Patriotic Party (NPP). Nigeria President and the special guest of honor during the inauguration ceremony, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, while speaking at the occasion, said that President Mahama will bring positive change to Ghana. In a news release made available by the Nigeria President's spokesperson, Bayo Onanuga, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu remarked as presented below, "It is always good when a friend and brother can visit the home of a close neighbor to celebrate his success and progress with him. We celebrate African democracy today as Ghana and her beloved people mark the transition from one democratic government to another. This moment does more than symbolize another milestone in the evolution of Ghanaian democratic society. It lays to bear the question of whether Ghana and Africa are capable of democratic and productive endeavor. Men of the Nigeria police force have arrested a male and female bomb victims in connection with the bomb explosion that occurred on Monday at Sangage Sani Uthman Islamia School at Kuchibui village in Buari Area Council of Nigeria Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, after 3 suspects from Katsina State brought the improvised explosive device, IED, to the school owner and thus tampered with it, causing deaths and injuries. FCT Police Command, in a press statement on Monday by its spokesperson, Josephine Ade, said 2 out of the 3 men from Katsina State died in the process of the bomb explosion, and the surviving suspect, and another female suspect that sustained injuries from the bomb explosion, have been hospitalized under strict police custody. The Police Command press release reads in quote thus: "The FCT Police Command regrets to inform the public of a tragic incident involving a suspected bomb explosion that occurred on January 6, 2025, at approximately 11 a.m. at the Sangage Sani Uthman Islamia School, located in Kuchibui village, Basin area of the FCT. Upon receiving a distress call from the Saki of Kuchibui, a team of police operatives, including the Command's Explosive Ordnance Disposal (EOD) team and the area commander of Kubwa, swiftly mobilized to the scene. The area was immediately cordoned off to protect residents and facilitate a thorough investigation. During the rescue operation, victims were promptly evacuated and rushed to the hospital for medical attention. Preliminary investigations revealed that 3 men from Katsina had visited the owner of the Islamic school, Malam Adamu Ashimu. The 3 visitors are suspected of having brought the explosive device with them. Tragically, 2 of the men died in the explosion while tampering with the improvised explosive device, IED, on the school veranda, while the 3rd man and a female trader sustained severe injuries and are currently receiving treatment under police guard. The FCT bomb squad has confirmed that it was an IED explosion, as remnants of the device have been recovered. Malam Adamu Ashimu, the owner of the school, has been taken into custody for questioning, and further findings will be communicated in due course. The Commissioner of Police, FCT, CP Olatunji Desu, urges members of the public to remain vigilant and report any suspicious activity, behavior, or items that may resemble improvised explosive devices to the police via our emergency numbers 0806 158 1938, 0803 200 3913, 0802 894 0883, 0705 733 7653, crew 0810 731 4192, and PCB 0902 222 2352. Safety advice for residents of FCT. 1. Stay alert. Be aware of your surroundings and report any unusual behavior or items to the authorities. 2. Do not touch suspicious objects. President Joe Biden and his wife, Jill, on Monday traveled to New Orleans to attend the interfaith prayer service for peace and healing with the families of 14 persons that were killed and 35 others injured on New Year Day truck-driving terror attack at French Quarters along Bourbon Street, when the victims were celebrating the season around 3 a.m. local time. Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI New Orleans Division, in a press statement few hours ago, called on anyone who may have information on the car terror suspect, Shamsuddin Jabbar, while the FBI updated the general public with a photo illustrations of Jabbar's movements leading up to the Bourbon Street terrorist attack. We are asking if anyone has information to help the investigation. Call 1800 Calvi, FBI stated. Jill and I traveled to New Orleans to stand with a community defined by strength and resilience. To grieve, to pray, and let them know that America stands with them, and mourns with them, Joe Biden stated in a social media statement. It was also gathered that one of the survivors of the attack was a physically challenged person on a motorized wheelchair. In a statement, Todd Terrell stated that, "Yesterday, our founder and President Todd Terrell visited with NOLA terrorist attack victim Jeremy Sensky and his family at University Medical Center in New Orleans. Jeremy is a paraplegic and was on Bourbon Street when the terrorists struck him with a speeding truck, crushing his motorized wheelchair. United Kingdom Navy and our partners worked to get Jeremy a new motorized wheelchair, as well as assist the family with expenses as they were visiting from Pennsylvania. Our UCN chaplain Tony Dickey has also been on hand for days counseling victims' families on navigating the difficult process of obtaining public assistance. We are also distributing comfort cups, which are weighted, therapeutic stuffed bears that have been given to the families who have experienced traumatic events. We also brought comfort cups following the Maui fires and Hurricane Helene devastation in Florida and North Carolina. Pray for Jeremy and the other victims of this senseless terrorist act. FBI, New Orleans alongside our federal, state, and local partners opened a Family Assistance Center, FAC, to provide services and care to the victims of the Bourbon Street terrorist attack, according to the press release by FBI on Monday, stating that the FAC offers crisis assistance including mental health services, financial and lodging assistance, and other resources. Anyone present during the attack can also retrieve personal effects or items left behind. This center is for victims, their family members, and anyone present at the Bourbon Street attack, even if they were not physically injured. The FAC will provide services from 11 a.m. up to 7 p.m., hours subject to change, at St. Martin de Porres Parish School at 5621 Elysian Fields Avenue. Victims can also visit fbi.gov/Bourbon Street Victims to
bringing you the news in a more digital way.